I'm Sandra Bellamy. I'm author of Asexual Perspectives and founder of Asexualise.com and Asexualise Academy, which is the world's first online training centre and school for asexuals and asexuality. If you didn't get a leaflet before about the Academy, if you see me at the end, or Sam as well, and then we can give you a leaflet on that and you can get a free course in asexuality. So this session is all to do with how to arrange an asexual meetup. We're covering problems that the organiser will have, what to do about them, and also problems attendees have. Because something that's really important when you organise an asexual meetup is to know that your attendee problems are your problem too, and that you are as one together. So it's really important to know that. So how to arrange an asexual meetup, there's four main areas that we'll be covering. So it's what is an asexual meetup? Why do we have asexual meetups? What's the benefits of them? How to arrange one, which is what this session is all about. And also the ingredients that make up a successful asexual meetup session. So, is it okay if I ask by a show of hands who here has been to an asexual meetup? Is that okay? Okay, just a few of you. And who here has organised an asexual meetup? Has anyone actually organised one yet? Just a couple of you. And by a show of hands, who here has never been to a meetup in their life? Doesn't know much about one? Okay, great, okay. So I know who I'm speaking to now is mostly people who've never had a meetup before or been to one. Okay, so what is an asexual meetup might seem quite obvious, but I'm going to define it anyway, just to make sure it's completely clear. An asexual meetup, basically, is when you meet up with at least one other person offline. So it's not online meetup, it's an offline meetup, in person. And it's with a clearly defined purpose. So, if you're having an asexual meetup, you have to define from the beginning what your purpose is. So is it to educate others about asexuality? Is it for activism? Is it for dating? Is it for socialising? Or is it for an event? So an asexual meetup could be as simple as just meeting someone for a coffee. So that's, all you need is one other person. And there seems to be this great thing about, oh no, I can't arrange a meetup, I don't know anyone. Well, all you need to know is one other person that's willing to meet up with you. When I say meet up, an asexual meetup, it is an asexual to asexual meetup. These meetups are for asexuals only. There has been talk, that you can have meetups with sexuals if you want to, invite them along and all that type of thing, to get to, so the sexual can learn from us. But when I'm talking about asexual meetups in general, it's talking about meeting other asexuals offline. So yeah, you need to define the purpose. So when I first had my first asexual meetup, it wasn't a big thing. It was just, this is the original post on Avon, and this is how I found the people. So I first got started because there's a thread on Avon called Any Aces in the Southwest. And I'm like, yeah, I'm in the Southwest. This is the UK, because obviously there's the Southwest of America as well. So so I'm like, yeah, I'm in the Southwest. This is great. There's some other asexuals that are in my area. So this was the first ever post, and this was going back in January of 2015. And I met with just two people on the 24th of January 2015, on the 24th. And we went to a Nando's, and there was just two other people. So what I want you to go away with today, from the main point of the beginning of this discussion, is the fact that basically you don't have to have a lot of people. So don't be scared, because I know there's a lot of people scared out there, like, oh, I could never do that. But you can. So you'll probably notice if you read on here, I'm like, OMG, you are so awesome, you and all of you. I can't believe you guys are making special arrangements for me to be there, and we're all going out to Nando's. What these two people did is, I was working all day, and they wanted to meet in the daytime, and I'm like, I'm really sorry, I can't do that. I worked in John Lewis at the time. And I'm like, I'm thinking, meeting asexuals in person, I've not met anyone before, and I found out I was asexual in 2014, I really wanted to meet some. And they're like, oh, don't worry, we'll come after work, especially for you. So they met me outside of my work, and we all went to Nando's together, and I'm thinking, these are kind of strangers that I've met online, and they're going out of their way to help me. And that feeling was amazing, because with asexuals, I think the thing we lack is in-person contact. We can meet some people online, but it's really hard to meet them offline, and nothing can beat that in-person warmth that you can feel from meeting other asexuals. So that's sparked my interest in doing others, but I took over this thread. This was not my original thread, it was written by Nasha, And what was happening is there's people in the southwest that were talking about having an asexual meetup, yeah? And they were talking, and they were talking, and they were talking, but no action was being taken. They were like, maybe we should meet one day. Maybe we should. That'd be nice. Oh, I might be available that day. Oh, if you're passing. And the thing you've got to do is if you're arranging an asexual meetup, you have to be very, very clear on actually doing it. As an organiser, there are certain traits you must have to be an organiser, and we'll be coming on to those shortly. So this is from a recent asexual meetup. This is Sam and me. Sam is going to be doing a bit of a talk at the end on the points I raised in this asexual meetup session. So this is how I met my new BFF. So when I talk about what's the point in having an asexual meetup, there's tons of points. The reason we should have an asexual meetup is because we can form friendships. So when I said about working out why you're having an asexual meetup, you know, you've got to clearly define it. My asexual meetups are for socialising, for building friendships, and, you know, if anyone wants to form a relationship afterwards, they can. We kind of all are on asexual dating sites pretty much, but it's not, you know, it's not designed to be a dating group or designed for us to date, but, you know, there's a possibility we could meet someone for a relationship there if we wanted to do that afterwards. But this is how I met my new BFF, and me and Sam just hit it off, didn't we? Mm-hmm. And we were just so awesome together. We're very similar. Both of us are sex repulsed, both of us are naked repulsed, and naked repulsed people are very hard to find, even in the asexual community. A lot of people that are asexual still don't mind some nudity, and me and him don't like it at all, so it's like, I found my guy that knows me and understands me. So you know, there's loads of benefits to going to asexual meetups. You know, you meet up with like-minded people, people who understand you, people who know where you're coming from. And even though you might be all different in your backgrounds, you might be all different with your likes, your needs, your wants, your dislikes, we've all got this commonality, which is asexuality. And you might get people that are very different to you coming to these meets, but because we've all got this one thing in common, it sort of brings us all together and unites us with all the different beautiful spectrums of people, as people out there, not just the asexual spectrum, but people as people. And so it feels amazing. And it's good for developing communication skills. So attendees can you know, develop their communication skills, they can develop their social skills, they can form friendships, like I've just mentioned, they can form acquaintances, or they could, you know, meet someone that just, you know, they start playing video games together online and they don't maybe see each other offline again, but they sort of form some sort of bond or some common interest. So it's really important to have them. In terms of an organiser, why is it important for you to organise one? Because you can bring asexuals together that otherwise wouldn't come together. When I was on the thread, you know, and all these people say, I want to meet up and never did, I kind of, like that point in my life, I wasn't so confident about organising groups. Me personally, years ago, I was diagnosed with general anxiety disorder, level 4. And if you know about anxiety at all, you know that what level 4 is quite high. Level 5 is about the highest you can get. So I couldn't be in groups years ago. I had to be one-to-one with a person. I could not do this. I couldn't even stand up here years ago. And so to organise a meet-up for me was like kind of hard because I'd never done group, but by that time I'd pushed through a lot of fears and boundaries personally to get me to a point where I could meet in a group. So that's what I thought, take the ball by the horn, no one else is doing anything. So I decided to put a definite yes, we'll meet, and this is what we'll do on it, and these people decided to come. And then this is the beautiful friendships that you can get and that you can achieve. And when you're going to meetups, you might be like, ooh, what's happening? Where do we go? So this particular one is a Harry Potter style bar in Exeter. So you can go to many different places. One of the things you've got to do is obviously get people to agree on a place to meet, which is one of the things we're going to come on to. So this is a Harry Potter style bar. We've been to the underground passages as well in Exeter. That was quite fun. We were all down these caves underground, being very, very close to each other. A lot of us didn't know each other, because nearly every single meet-up I hold, I always get newbies coming. Well, I say my regulars, they're like, oh, you're having another meet-up. They always come, and then you've got the newbies that are like, you know, new to asexuality, or they're new to coming on meet-ups. And we're all in this confined space, but we're all having just a ton of fun being ourselves. And my meet-ups is very much about being your true, authentic self, you know. I let people be themselves, they let me be myself, we just join up and we have a great time and lots of fun. So asexual meetups are all about how you fun, because you do things together, and it stops you feeling isolated, because I think as an asexual you can feel very lonely, very isolated, very cut off from the world, and it gets you out. Some people suffer with depression. I used to until 2012, and you're kind of at home on your own a lot, and you're feeling like no one understands you. That's how I used to feel. I used to feel quite alien in this world and that no one got me. And then when I had my first meet-up and I met those two women, back in 2015, I'm like, someone really understands me. And the atmosphere was so different to being around sexuals. It's just like I could be myself. They understood that I didn't want to have sex, these people. They understood that I wanted a relationship without sex and that it wasn't good for me. And these two women, we were laughing about stuff together because they didn't like sex either, the two asexuals I met back in 2015. So to be around like minds is just great. So what else can you do? We went to a museum once as well, Exeter Museum, but you can go to do loads of different things. With my meetups, I started very simple, like I said, with 2 people. My meetups are not huge, so the maximum I've had is 10 people so far, but people come to my meetups from all over the UK. So one guy, it was from Newcastle, he had travelled 11 hours on a coach. I mean, I don't think most of us would do that, right? And he's a student, he's got 2 part-time jobs, and he booked accommodation. So if people make the effort, they can meet asexuals in real life, offline, and they can do it, and they can form good friendships. I'm still friends with him on Facebook. He will still come down to another meet. And then I've got a guy who comes from Worcester, and he'll come every single time. He's a regular. So if you form really good relationships with these people, and you organise meetups in a good way, then you can get people who come time and time again. And it's really important. This is another guy. He is in Exeter, where I live. And I met him at a meetup, and we're friends now, and we see each other sometimes outside of the meetup. So again, look how happy he is, He loves it, he's having fun. So you can have fun with other asexuals in your life, and you can meet great people. So that's another good thing. So we're both on an asexual dating site, but both totally not attracted to each other whatsoever, apart from mates. So, right, this here is a cake. We're going to bake this cake right now. This is the ingredients for a successful meetup. Okay, so if you don't remember everything else, or anything else that I say to you today, if you're like, I was tired, I wasn't really listening, wasn't paying attention, just remember the cake. Just remember the cake. So I'm going to give an overview of it, then we're going to go into more depth. Okay, so with this beautiful cake here, that makes me very hungry, you are the sponge if you're an organiser. You are a sponge. I would say hands up for the sponges. So you're the sponge, which means you're the foundation of the whole asexual meetup, okay? That's the first stage. You've got to decide to take the bull by the horn and be an organiser and actually put yourself out there and say, yeah, I'm going to arrange a meetup. And then here, which is the layer, you only have to find that one other person. So this white thing here is a white chocolate chip amongst all these black, or brown should I say, chocolate chips. And this one here is just the one person you have to find for your meetup. That's all you need to get started. And then you find more and more people. You go around asking in different places, which we're going to come to about all the places you can find them. And then you call them your tribe, so these are the people that are coming. And then you've got to set a definite venue, a time and a date, which is when all the problems start, because obviously you've got to coordinate it all as well with all the people that are coming. But eventually you get them all together, and then you have a successful cherry on the top. So we're going to go into a bit more detail about how you achieve that now. So you've got this beautiful cake, right? We need to bake it. We haven't baked it first. So there you go. So what makes a good organiser? So in order to be a good organiser, a meetup holder, you should always have these 4 things as your aim. You should always aim to make the people on your meets happy. You want people to come to your meet again. You want people to have a good time. You should make them happy always, as much as possible that you can do. Not everyone's always going to be happy. Not everyone's going to get on necessarily. Some people can have personality clashes. Doesn't happen very often. In general, I've not had any bad thing happen in any of my meets. So you got to make them happy. You should make them feel safe, especially in the case of people with mental health difficulties, which we're going to talk about more. Mental health difficulties, special needs, they need to feel really safe in the environment to come. They should be enjoying themselves, so they should do an activity that they universally enjoy, and it should be inclusive. So inclusive is a huge topic. You need to include people that have got special diets, for example, that are gluten-free, vegetarian. You know, I had a really bad experience. I wanted to go to another person's meet once, and I was telling him about the allergies I had, and he's like, well, why do you want to have them? It's like, I didn't choose to have allergies. You know, I just have food allergies, and then it put me off going to a meet-up. So it's really important that you're being inclusive, and then including people who've got mental health difficulties, disabilities. You know, they might have autism, or depression, or schizophrenia. You know, you have to be inclusive of these, and you have to understand how they are in order to make sure they're feeling safe even before they come. They're feeling happy and they're feeling like they're going to enjoy your meet. Because the worst thing is you start becoming a meet-up organiser and you get no one coming to your meet-ups because they don't feel like they're being included. They feel like you're being prejudiced or judgmental about who they are, and you can't be that way. You have to try to be as impartial and supportive as possible before they even come to your meet-up. So, once you've got those 4 organiser responsibilities, you've also got to decide what sort of type of person should an organiser be. They should be very reliable, they should be honest, and they should define goals, and they should think of other people. Sort of the worst types of organisers are the one where they're thinking of themselves and the venue and everything, and they're not considering what other people want. So, for example, the underground passages that I organised the meet to, there was another alternative that I put on the table, which was about going to the Devon County show. There was 2 young people who wanted to come to meet up, and they didn't want to go to that. So it was either I did the Devon County show for the rest of the people to go, or because everyone wanted to go to the underground passages, I made it that, because I want everyone to be included as much as possible in my meetup. So the organiser should be very, you know, inclusive, and should be thinking about the other people who are coming, not just themselves and having a good time themselves. So, so when you're deciding, when you're an organiser, you need to decide why that particular meetup is happening. So obviously I said at the beginning about the different types of meetups. You can have like relationship meetup, date up meetup, socialising, just a friends meetup for a coffee. So you need to just clearly define why you're having the meetup, and then what you're going to do at the meetup. You know, are you going to do an activity? When I first started, all I was doing is getting people together, have food, drink and chat. Keep it simple, everyone's happy usually with that. And asexuals tend to love their food, don't we? So yeah, they're really happy with that. And then you have to define a date and time that you can do as an organiser. You have to have this all in your head before you approach any attendees. But you have to have variables. So say sometimes you work say you had a job where you worked every Sunday, you know you can't offer to meet people on Sunday because you're working, not unless you had an evening meeting, you was free in the evening. So you've got to have a list of sort of date and times that you could do, things you want to do before you approach other people, so that you're being very, very intentional and very clear to others. So where to find attendees? This is where I currently find attendees, on Avon. I presume everyone's heard of Avon, yeah? So asexuality.org. So yeah, so you can find attendees on that in the various threads. There's an Asexual Meetup marked thread, so you can find people on there. Facebook.net, that's an online dating site, but not everyone wants to date who's on it, and you can just meet people. And what I do is I spot people in my local area during the search, and I look for people, and then I will approach them. And then Asexuality.com is another dating site, but again, some people use it just for socialising. ASAP, I've got the person who travelled 11 hours on a coach, he was from ASAP, and then Facebook groups. So I had quite a lot of people from my Facebook groups coming to meet me in person and to meet other asexuals in person. So these are all the different types of places you can get them, but you can get them from any social media that has asexuals, Twitter, Reddit, anywhere you want to. But then it's like, what do I say? I mean, you're talking to strangers, right? You have to approach strangers to get more people into your meetups. Otherwise, they just stay the same. So, what I do is I have like a little script where I talk to asexuals, and I'll say on different sites, and I'll say something like, "Hi, I'm Sandra. Just to let you know, I hold asexual meetups in my city. Would you like to come? Or next time it's on, would you like to come along?" And then, they'll reply back or they won't. So it's a numbers game. So you do have to approach quite a lot of people in order to get someone to come. but I just do it very casually, tell them what the meetup, and they'll say, oh, so what happens in this meetup? They'll often ask you more information, or let me tell you more information if you want to know about it, it's really good. So you approach people on there. So I'll go on Asexuality saying, hi, I'm Sandra, I'm happy to this meetup. If I already know what it is, I'll say the date and time, and it'd be great to have you come. And then they'll reply, or not reply, as the case might be, but don't be disappointed, because not everyone will reply. And so, you can't win all of them. Not everyone will want to come. So then you've got the problems of the attendees. So then when you've got people who are possible people who want to come to your meetups, you then have the problems of the transport, the accommodation, if you're doing a meetup that's on a national scale. So if you're keeping it local, there's still problems with people who work different hours, people who have different commitments, maybe they've got children, they need to get a babysitter or a pet sitter. So the attendee problems are your problems. So when I'm arranging meetups, I arrange them about 4 to 6 weeks in advance to get people to come all over the UK to them, because they need to book their hotel out. It's no good leaving it till like 1 week before, and they come from like my friend from Worcester, because the prices of accommodation and transport are going to be horrendous. That's not me thinking of my attendees, that's me just thinking, oh yeah, I fancy a meetup now. That's not the way you should do it. You should be thinking about all the problems they could have before, and then addressing those problems so they try to be limited. So you need to think about accommodation, transport, travel, and you need to talk to your attendees all the time. So I'll be talking to my attendees, messaging them, not every day obviously, but messaging them initially to find out what sort of times and dates they could do. So I work consultatively. I don't just say, oh, here's this meetup, can you come? I say, I'm thinking about arranging a meetup, this is the time or times and dates. I could give them 3 times and dates, and I'll ask them, which one's best for you? Can you get back to me? And then they'll get back to me whichever time and date is best, and then I coordinate it so the people that can come during the, they have the most time that they can come. So say everyone can meet up on Sunday the 25th of August, for example, and the other 2 dates I gave them, only half of the people can do, I will go with what the majority of the people want. And so that eliminates the problems of, people not being included then, because they could all come. And then accommodation, I'll have places to recommend to people that I know other people speak to, or that I know is good for myself. And then transport, I can even help them if they want help with timetables, if they're dyslexic or something like that, they might want help with timetables. So you've got to be really sort of an organiser who's very inclusive and very proactive and very consultative. So like I said, I'm messaging them backwards and forwards about 4 to 6 weeks before, making sure they're okay. They book have they booked their travel, have they booked their transport. It's a bit like being their PA too. And it's just a really good feeling when you bring all those asexuals together that otherwise wouldn't see each other. So that's what I've been told at my meetup. They're like, you're the only extrovert in the room, Sandra. If you didn't bring people together, we would not see each other, and these events would never happen. But you don't have to be an extrovert to hold a meetup. You can be a facilitator, which means you just get people together and make something happen. If you're not comfortable with the thought of leadership or the thought of being an actual organiser, just say I'm a facilitator. I facilitate, make things happen. So so once you've got your people, so you set the time, you set the date, you've dealt with any problems. You're not going to be able to satisfy everyone. There's going to be times when they will spill over, like you saw the cake earlier. There's some sort of squishy cream that spills over. That's the people that can't make it. They've taken poorly or something's gone in their schedule, and so that doesn't happen for whatever reason. So not everyone who originally says they're going to come will come. So don't be disappointed if that happens. Now, going back to mental health, it's really important that you understand people with mental health difficulties. I said that I used to have anxiety, and I was diagnosed with generalised anxiety level 4 years ago. My anxiety level's a lot less now, and I manage it super well, but I still do have some sometimes. And the benefit of that is the majority of people who came to my last meetup, for example, they had anxiety. And because we all understood each other, they're like, wow, I've come here and I've got people that understand me. And we're all talking about our anxiety, but it lessens because everyone understands each other. So when you've got people that are anxious, you have to do things like meet them at the hotel. So you have to be like a proper host, not just turn up to the meet and, oh, this is our time and date and place. No, you go to their hotel if they're comfortable that if they want you to. You wait outside the hotel for them. You might have to pick them up at the bus station, the train station. So I don't drive, so I'm going all over the place on foot, picking someone up from the bus station, picking someone up from, on foot from their hotel to coordinate them. And what we do with my meetups, because we have people coming from far away, is we'll have a meetup sometimes for 3 days. So it's like, wow, I get to be around asexuals for 3 days. Yes. And it's amazing, because it's a really good feeling for me as well, because I like a lot of male company, but I can't be around sexual guys anymore because I don't feel comfortable. But when I'm with a load of guys at an asexual meet, I just feel I can be myself, there's none of that sexual expectation or connotation or feeling. It's just really good. So with mental health, it's so important that you address all the attendees' mental health issues to make them feel as safe and secure as possible. Be organised, let them know every step of the way, where we're meeting, what time it is. Talk to them about their hotel arrangements, make sure that it's nearby, it's not too far away, and all this type of thing. And I've got a friend who comes from Worcester, he's got mental health difficulties. I meet him off the train every single time. Now, if I'm seeing other people or I'm meeting someone off a coach, I can't be in 2 places at once. So I normally coordinate them so that the person's coming on the coach is coming at a different time to the person that I have to meet off the train station, or if I need to meet someone at a hotel. Now, I used to do all this on my own, but I've also got Keith, who you saw earlier. He's like my second in command now. So it's good once you get more and more people coming, if you can have someone else to help you out. And because he's like my second in command, that means if I can't get to my meet-up on time, because I'm picking someone up from the coach station, for example, he can entertain people, he can meet and greet people, and he can keep them happy until I get there. So that's another thing you've got to do. If you're organising a pub meet-up, for example, you have to be outside the pub waiting for that person at the time you said. And I normally leave like 15 to 20 minutes for everyone to arrive. And up to the meet-up, you should be messaging them, seeing that they're all right. If they haven't turned up, just say, oh, don't say, well, you haven't turned up, maybe you don't like me. That's not the attitude to take. They haven't done that because it's purpose. Some people just can't do things. Like last time I had a babysitter that didn't turn up. She was adamant she would come. She's not that far away. The people far away came. She didn't turn up. And I messaged her just saying, you're right, is everything okay? And she said I couldn't get a babysitter. But some people sometimes are a bit ashamed of saying that they can't get a babysitter when they promise they'll come. So she's going to come to another one. So so you've got all these things to concern yourself with. The attendees' concerns are your concerns. And we are as one. I'm going to pass you over to Sam now. He was a person that attended my last meetups. We're new BFFs since that. And he's going to say his experience of what it's like for an attendee to go to a meetup. So I'll hand you over to Sam. Oh, you'll be right here. I'll look after you.
Hi, I'm Sam. I'm not going to look at anybody because I'm scared.
It's alright, we can look at each other.
I'm a paramedic asexual. I've been asexual all my life too. I've only known about asexuality for about the last 5 years. Last year, I decided to go to my first asexual meetup, and it was a disaster. I just felt really uncomfortable about the whole thing and decided not to do it again. And luckily, this year, I started talking to Sandra on Facebook and saw her posts on Facebook and Asexuality about her meetups, and I'd seen her post and she seemed like a really decent girl, so I messaged her and asked her about when her next meetup was, and she organised one for, it was May, was it May or June? Yeah, April, May.
Yeah, May.
And anyway, I spoke to Sandra about, because I have schizophrenia and suffer with quite severe anxiety, so I spoke to Sandra about that, and she agreed to meet me at the hotel and spoke about travel arrangements and everything that we were going on. And so I turned up and made a great friend for life. And there was one evening we were in one of the bars, and she could tell that I was really anxious because it was getting quite busy, and she did actually ask me if I wanted to move on, but I decided to stay with it, just let it go past me. But it was nice for her to notice that and make me feel that I wasn't just a problem to be dealt with.
Yeah, awesome.
I don't know what else to say.
That's all right.
But it's actually, since my great experience with Exeter, which I travelled 170 miles to go to, it's inspired me to go to more meetups. So I went to a Brighton one last month, and I'm going to Brighton again this month, because I had a great time down there anyway. So, and hopefully Sandra will have another one in Exeter
I'm
soon.
definitely having another one. You're definitely coming.
So yeah, I'll be spending the weekend again in a hotel.
Yeah, so the people that come for more than one day, they normally spend like 3 days in a hotel, so we'll see each other for like 3 days, won't we?
I saw her on the evening that I got there, and then we spent the day together with everybody else on Saturday and Sunday, and we went to the cinema Saturday morning. Was it Saturday or Sunday?
Yeah, we saw a
morning?
kids' film together, didn't we? It's awesome.
And then we met up Monday before I went home as well. And yeah, so it was a great experience, and I'm glad that I didn't give up on meetups, because I want to expand my circle of asexual friends, just because I get on better with asexual people, because they understand me better. And that's about it.
We have a round of applause for Sam. So great. Thank you so much, Sam. That was really informative, educational, and really, really good. Thank you so much. So, hopefully you think I've gone through all this now. You are the sponge, you are the foundation as the organiser. So you set the bar for the whole rest of this cake to be baked. You know, if you are not a good organiser, if you're not setting times and dates, this will just collapse and the cream will just fall out and there'll be no sponge. The sponge holds it all in, so you need to be a sponge. And then you've got to just get this one other person. So I recommend starting small, because you know, you've got your own health to think about. If you've got your own mental health issues as well, you know, you've got to think of yourself. Because even as an organiser, if you've got some anxiety, you might still be anxious about meeting your attendees. Most of them I know online beforehand, so I get to know, you know, the people that come regularly, I get to know them online a little bit beforehand or a long time, and then they'll come because they trust me. But they'll have the people who are sort of strangers, who are more like people off Avon, who've never met me before in their life. They'll probably see my posts. And so then you've got to get, you know, once you've got the one, then you can expand and get more chocolate chips, which are lovely. And then you've got these, which are another layers here, which is all the venue you need to decide between you. And then you need to decide the date and the time. So you need to be consultative, remember? You're not a boss, you're sort of leading or facilitating, you're consulting with people, not telling them what to do. You're inviting them into your world and to meet with you and to meet with other like-minded people. It's a very consultative process. And then obviously, some people will ooze out like the cream, and you'll lose some all down your chin, and it'll go, ugh. Ooh, missed a bit there. And so yeah, some people will, you know, be like, something will happen. There was one guy, and his exam fell on my meetup, and he had to cancel at the last minute. And there was another guy that fell ill, so, you know, things happen. But then you'll get some people who will all turn up and give you a nice other layer on top, and then that's the sweet cherries when you get all together and see each other. Okay, and that concludes my talk. I just open it up for Q&A now, and you can let me know if you've got any questions that I can answer.
Do you want me to do the microphone for questions?
Yeah, you can.
I think we had, so it's Steve, is it? You had a question from a previous session that we didn't quite get to, but I think relates to this session. Would you like to start off? Thank you.
Hello.
Hello, it's Franco. I read some of yours posts on Asexuality. Yes, from Asexuality, my experience is not good, really.
Okay.
I wrote a lot of messages to other gay asexual men, but nobody replied. Oh, they replied once.
Okay.
Whereas two contacted me, but they were from, one was from Princeton, Illinois, the other one from Mexico.
Yeah.
So there was no seal between us.
Yeah.
And so I founded a demisexual, asexual, gay men group in London.
Okay.
In taking advantage of that American meetup system, you know.
Yeah, there's a place called
widespread
meetup.com. Is that the one you're
yes,
talking
very
about?
widespread here in London. So my experience is, well, it's not ideal. So I started in October. I'm Italian. I came here, so I thought it is a great opportunity because the numbers are not high, the numbers of asexuals in general and gay asexuals in particular. And so I thought, London is the biggest town in Europe, whereas I come from a very tiny town in Italy. Italy also is very homophobic, traditionalist. So I wanted to take this opportunity. However, so I didn't find actually that one you mentioned as a basic pillar of the stuff. There were two regular, not regular, because I organized 10 meetups, and in 2 of them nobody showed up. Well, today there is a 10th meetup, and apart from me there were 4 attendees. They came, but most times I had to, there were very low numbers, so say 3, 4, and but 123 subscribed, because yes, I thought, because London is big and this is the only one. But they don't show up, they don't subscribe. You know? When they book, sometimes or often they do not come without warning. And that is not because of asexual, because of gay, because of gender, because it is not a good thing not to warn. No? When you have an appointment, not to warn the interlocutor, the other person, that you're not coming. However, it happens. And so I want to ask to Sandra if to her happened many times. And if it happened, what could be the cause? Not to change your mind, because it's quite common to change your mind, and not to warn that you change your mind. And also, a second question is about this: what is happening in my group? Because 123 people subscribe, but very few people booked, and very few came. So, what was the purpose of joining the group? Perhaps just in order to me being allowed to message the others.
Okay. So, your first question was about why people don't turn
Yes.
up? Okay.
No, wait, the wrong word.
The amount, okay. So you've got 2 things. One is that when they come, there's not many coming. And then the other is that some people don't come and don't give you any warning, yeah?
Yes.
So you've got to remember that quality is better than quantity, right? So Birmingham meets, they have about 40 asexuals going. I could be standing here like, my last meetup was 7. I could be thinking, I've only got 7 attendees. Oh my God, Birmingham's got 40. I must be doing something wrong. No, that's not the way to think. The way to think is it's quality, not quantity. You need to get quality. If you get quality people coming, people who are reliable, people who keep to the word, people who like you, they will come back time and time again. And those are the people you need as a foundation for your meetups. I get the guy from Worcester coming every single time. The guy from Exeter, if he's available, every single time. So it doesn't matter about, you know, you have 123 people subscribed to a group, it's presumably an online group. Is that correct?
Yes,
It's not.
I started thinking it is online
Yeah.
group, it's not a group. What is the purpose?
Yeah, so people subscribe to online groups just because they like being in a group. But an asexual meetup is an offline experience. So you need to speak to those people direct individually before they come. So of the 123 people, if you've got 123 people coming, potentially, that's a lot of work for you to do. That's 123 messages you need to write. Do you see the difference? You shouldn't expect people to turn up or expect people to come without putting in the work yourself. So you should be going to those 123 people, looking at them all. I mean, there might be some in other countries that are not really going to come, so you can get rid of all the people that are in other countries.
No, but 95% is from London.
Right, so if 95% from London, then you should be messaging all those 95%
Yes, but
individually.
how can I write a different message for each one of them? I don't know them.
You don't have to write a different message.
I write one standard message.
You write one standard message for all of them. Correct. You copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste. Just remember to change the name. So if you put Hannah and you're talking to Steve, it doesn't work.
No, just say, dear guys, hello guys,
Some might be
the next
non-binary,
meetup will
though.
be held in this place and on this date.
So I post in the forum for everyone to see, but I message everyone individually. This is the difference. This is the difference between someone trying to organise a meetup, posting, going, I want us to meet for coffee at such and such a time, such and such a date, who's interested? So X amount of people subscribe, hardly anyone shows up, because you need to message those people individually. You need to coordinate them in terms of time, date, venue, coordinate them. So you should be messaging them individually so they get to know you as a person, so they like you, they want to be around you, they trust you, they want to come to your meetup. One of the best things that I do is mine is national. Because if people are willing to book hotel and accommodation and transport, they're not really going to cancel unless they're going to be really sick. I had one of my guys from Worcester who comes regularly, he was really severely ill. He got his money back on the hotel, didn't get his money back on the train. But it wasn't until that week, a few days before, that he realised that he was poorly. So, you know, you need to message them all individually. So once this meetup's over, go and message all of them individually and get to know them and start talking to them. Try and be friends with some of them. Because as soon as you've got a few friends, you can start inviting those friends, and they're that one chocolate chip, that white chocolate chip that will definitely come. But if you invite people all around the UK as well, the people that really want to come, that want to reach out, that want to meet other asexuals, because this is what the people do who are at country. They have never met an asexual in offline before, and their need for that human connection, in-person connection, overwhelms the fact that they've got miles and miles to travel, so they will do anything to come and meet people, asexual people, offline. So you need to find those people which you're not finding. Just posting about it and expecting to turn up, it is not going to happen. So it's an individual post to each person, talking about it, talking about what you've got planned, what your ideas are, give them a few variations, like 3 variations, and get to know these people. And try and make 2 or 3 friends that you can get coming regularly. And try and get people from further afield that have got the commitment and the responsibility to say, yeah, I'm putting my money on this, I'm booking that hotel, I'm booking that transport, now I've got to turn up. So does that make sense?
Well, the national thing, yes, I didn't think about the national thing.
Yeah.
About individualizing the messages is quite hard.
You don't have to individualise it, you can do a generic message to each one.
I don't know them. Well,
Yeah.
yes, I changed it, the venues, the weekdays, the activities, so watching the book-up.
You pick, so if you're starting off, right, you pick a time, date and venue that you'd like to do, then you message all those people, those 95% people, this is a time, date and venue of the meetup, can you come? That's what you do, very specific. An organiser has to be specific.
Yes, I asked also if they prefer other weekdays, other
Yeah.
venues, but apart from a couple of people who said, I prefer Soho instead of Blackfriars.
Okay.
But when I said, do you have any suggestion about a particular bar or pub? He did not reply. And so, yes, I put this, in the discussion part of, the meetup.com organization, there is a discussion section. I put, yes, those questions. What activity do you prefer? What days?
Yeah.
But there was not a response.
Yeah, you need to take the bull by the horn and set everything. So if you've got no people that are actually coming to a meetup, you need to say this is the time, date and date. Because a lot of people that they haven't got the mindset of an organiser. So you have to need the mindset of an organiser to actually say a day, date and time. You have to be not wishy-washy, not, oh, we might do this or this is what I like to do. You have to be definite plans. So this is a meetup. The time, date and venue, can you make it, and then sort of negotiate with them. But you have to realise that if people don't turn up for whatever reason, it's nothing personal, not everyone will turn up. So just be happy that you've got some people together and that it's a good thing that they're meeting. I think other people's got questions, so I'll move on.
Do you have any recommendations for places to meet up with people who are comfortable in pubs? Because I know pubs are generally cheap and accessible, everyone knows where they are, but a lot of people are uncomfortable around people who drink or just being around that amount of alcohol. So do you have any recommendations for places that aren't pubs, basically?
Okay.
And aren't specific activity places, because they might be more expensive or more inaccessible?
Right, okay. I mean, first of all, I'll say that I do go to a pub with my people, but say we're in the Wetherspoons, there's a new app, so because a lot of people that come are introvert, they will order from the app, so they don't have to socialise with the people downstairs and be with the drinks. So I like going to Wetherspoons because although there is alcohol, it's a family pub, so there's not all this like drinking, swilling, drink everywhere. I would say obviously don't do it a weekend because it'll turn out like that. So do it in a weeknight if you can, and then like Weatherspoons I do because it caters to everyone's needs. And there's a double floor in the one I take them to. So we're upstairs. It's normally really quiet up there, so they're not around other people that are drinking and everything. And they just order from the app. They have all the food and drink brought to the table, so they don't really have to see anyone. They just literally go downstairs and upstairs, and there's like loads of tables free. So we're very secluded. Because, you know, unless you get a family place where you get somewhere that they take kids, like a milkshake place, where there is no, because there's a milkshake bar in Exeter where I live. So you could go to like a milkshake bar, or you could go to a cafe like that's not allowed to serve alcohol, or it's very minimal, that type of thing. Does that help? You can also do things like outdoor picnics. So if the weather's fine, you can have a picnic. I mean, you could have an indoor picnic. So there are a few asexuals that will host people in their home. So, you know, you can have people come, you can cook for asexuals, for example, and have them in your home, have a movie night and popcorn or something like that. So it doesn't have to be going out to a pub. So it can be like I said, it can be a movie night at home. It could be like a park place. You could go camping if you wanted to get that intimate with each other. You don't know each other, but or a campsite or anything like that. So it doesn't have to be in a pub. So you just think of places that don't sell alcohol, basically. But yeah, an outdoor picnic's quite nice in a secluded spot. You've got a question?
No, just to also answer, one thing I've found very successful is you can, if you're in a major city, then you can get high tea with the
Cafes and stuff.
That's just a tenner. But equally, if you want to put something on yourself, because money issues is, you talked about inclusivity, that around my age group is the main barrier.
Yeah.
Because people can't afford to go travelling long distances and book hotels and everything. So just having a local thing, just letting it spread through the cobwebs of the community, all the aces and the other aces, and they all invite their friends. Just if you say, yeah, this is free, I'm just going to rock up with, you can usually get a chaplaincy room or something is usually free, or a university room is free. It costs pennies to make tea, and then, a $5's worth of biscuits. And then I found a lot of luck with that, getting well over a dozen people, just letting it go word of mouth in the local scene. It doesn't have to be large scale out, but also I find when you're putting it on yourself, you're more in control with mental health difficulties, especially with like light level or sound level for people on autistic spectrum. You can make it adapted to people best. That would be my answer.
Yeah, just let you know, like Weatherspoons, they do a meal and drink for under £5. That's why I take people there as well, because I did have some people, even locally, that were like, we're on student budgets, or we haven't got much money, we're unemployed. So the reason I pick a Weatherspoons, I mean, there's like 4 Weatherspoons there in my Exeter area, so they're all different atmosphere. Like one of them is quite crowded, and so I won't usually take them to places like that. I'll take them to one that's got 2 floors where it's quite quiet and there's not that many people, and do a day that I know it's not that busy. But yeah, I go to a Weatherspoons when I'm going out because they've got vegan food there, they've got meats there, they've got soft drinks, alcohol, but I get a meal every time for like £4.95, something like that, and that's got a drink included and everything, but like chicken meal and stuff, so it's really good, and they cater for my diet because I change stuff on the menu for it, so. But I think you raised some really good points, thank you so much. Is there anyone else? Well, I have to conclude in a minute because we've got some other stuff in, haven't we? Thank you very much for coming, I really, really appreciate it. Thank you.